Okay, so we have started recording, so I will go ahead and hand it back to Autumn.
Thank you very much, Anna. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to introduce our two panelists for this session. Alice Dielli has been serving as the Faculty Instructional Development Coordinator at American River College since 2014. She's presenting today with Leslie Reeves, who serves as American River College's Faculty Coordinator for Universal Design. They'll be telling you about quick fixes for creating accessible content. So Alice and Leslie, please take it away.
Okay, well, welcome to our workshop, Quick Fixes Using Tools to Create Accessible Content. As Autumn said, I'm Leslie Reeves.
And I'm Alice Dielli. So in our educational environments, we strive to create inclusive and engaging learning experiences for all students. The foundation for an effective course design is really the principles of universal design for learning. And one aspect of that is digital accessibility.
So over the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to look at how you, the instructor, can use 4 different accessibility tools. And they include the Canvas Accessibility Checker, Grackle for Google Docs, Adobe Acrobat Accessibility Checker, and Ally. And so each tool has is different with unique uses, advantages, and as you'll see, disadvantages. So.
But what all of these tools have in common is the need for human intervention, which you'll see in the demos that we are going to present. So let's go.
Okay.
Our first tool is the Canvas Accessibility Checker. The checker has been around for 2 years this month, and it's become more efficient and accurate in identifying accessibility issues in Canvas pages. As is true with all accessibility checkers, though, it's not perfect, as you'll soon see. However, we do suggest the use of Canvas pages over Word documents or PDFs. When content is on Canvas pages rather than external files, they encourage students to stay on track in the Canvas shell. And for teachers, it's quick to make Canvas pages accessible and to update them. In Canvas, you always have to be in edit mode when you're checking accessibility. With a Canvas page open, click on Edit. See how this icon of the person shows up? That's the Accessibility Checker icon. And when you click on the icon, the Accessibility Checker pane opens on the side and displays the accessibility issues it identifies. Here we have 8 issues. 8 issues? And right away, the accessibility pane goes to the first issue it encounters on the page. It's telling us that the contrast in this area is not good. By the way, you can always click on the question mark to get an explanation of why or how an issue affects people, and the link below the explanation provides more information. So the issue here is with the sentence, "It's not perfect, but it does help." What we need to do here is darken that text. See this little circle? We can put our pointer in the circle and drag it down to select a darker shade until the Apply button is highlighted. So now you can click Apply. The sentence is still emphasized with a different shade of text, but now it passes the contrast checker for accessibility. The second item is lists should be formatted as lists. This accessibility feature is important because screen readers will announce that a list is coming up for people who can't see the page. As soon as you click Format as a List, notice that the list also includes the number 2 on the next line. And you know it's formatted as a list because the numbered list button up in the Rich Content Editor now has a little up arrow under it. So let's click Apply. On to the third issue. Add alt text for image describing the image content. For alt text, a screen reader will read up to 150 characters, which actually allows for quite a bit of information. A good description here might be, Rich Content Editor toolbar with the accessibility checker highlighted.
Wrong one. Go ahead.
You never have to, in fact, you shouldn't type image of or picture of at the beginning of alt text. The screen reader already announces that. There is a choice for decorative image, and we don't recommend using this option. If you have added an image, it is equitable to take the time to describe it for someone who can't see it. We receive comments from students and colleagues who are blind that they appreciate hearing descriptions of images their instructors choose to include for the students. Okay, click Apply. And for this next image, we might say accessibility checker pane showing the first issue out of 8. For alt text, don't worry about punctuation or capitalization. The screen reader doesn't care. Click Apply. Okay, the next issue is tables. Tables are a little bit more challenging to make accessible, but the accessibility checker will help us with this too. So this issue is tables should include a caption describing the contents of the table. So let's caption this schedule of assignments. Notice how the caption appears right above the table and it becomes part of the table. After clicking Apply, another table issue pops up. Tables need an identified set of row or column headers or both. And the Set Table Header dropdown gives us that choice right here. We can choose header, row, and column. And click Apply. The next issue is that heading levels should not be skipped. And if you're not sure what this means, the explanation under the question mark is really helpful. Here it looks like a heading was used to emphasize an entire paragraph, which is something we don't want to do manually. So let's choose the Remove Heading Style choice. Click Apply. The sentences are still formatted for emphasis, but now they're labeled with the paragraph style. And look, balloons. No accessibility issues detected. That should make you feel good, but this is the point where your human touch is needed. We mentioned in the introduction that there are accessibility issues that the Canvas accessibility checker doesn't pick up yet. And the first one is heading hierarchy. Notice that when we click on the first line of this page, Good News, it is a header 4. But wait, since the title of a Canvas page is always header 1, then the next header should be header 2. That's an easy fix. The second issue we need to look at concerns URLs. We never want to paste a URL directly into the page. A screen reader would try to read it letter by letter. https:// etc. Not helpful. And we never want to type just click here. Where?
I'm not clicking there.
I'm not clicking if I don't know where the click will take me. Okay, make sure to save your edits. And that's it for the accessibility checker. Our next tool is Grackle for Google Docs.
All right. So Google Docs are often our go-to text creation application, right? And particularly in collaborative environments. So until recently, checking the accessibility of Google Docs was a grueling line-by-line process. So we found this new tool, Grackle, that helps us automate the process and make it so much easier. So this is a quick demonstration of using Grackle to remediate a Google Doc. Oh, and Grackle is free. It's a free add-on for individuals to install for Google Docs, Google Sheets, or Google Slides. So once you have Grackle added to your document, open a Google Doc, and here we have a Google Doc integrated into Canvas as an assignment. So from the add-ons menu, select Grackle Docs and choose Launch. Here we have a group, excuse me. The Grackle Docs accessibility check pane will open on the right and Grackle will start checking your document. The checklist is divided into sections and each section name has either a circle with a number if there are errors or warnings, or a check mark for no accessibility issues. The sections have lists of individual items that need to be addressed, indicated by an X or a check mark. I just read that. This first section called document has one issue, that a document title is required. You can click in the available checkbox to use the suggestion. And here, Grackle suggests you use the Google Doc name, or you can click on Edit for more options. We will take the suggestion and use the Google Doc name. If you're making the changes in the edit box, like this one here, click Update. Sometimes you have to choose your document language. There you go, and click Update. Okay, the next section called Images has 3 items with accessibility issues. By clicking on the number 3, the checklist expands and you can see each issue. There are 3 images that are positioned rather than added as inline images, and they do not have alternate text. For accessibility purposes, we want to add Insert Images Inline, and by selecting the image, we can modify that. Then right-click to add the alt text. And here some good alt text might be individual headshots of each of the 4 Beatles, John, Paul, George, and Ringo. So we really do want fairly descriptive alt text. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so as you make each edit, the accessibility pane may not change, but you can select Recheck anytime to save your progress or check your work or get instant gratification because your score has improved. The next section deals with headings and shows 2 issues. Before you start updating your headings, you can open the Document Structure tab of the accessibility pane to see an overall view of your heading structure. In this case, right away, it's obvious the headings are out of order. 2 comes before 1 and 4 comes before 3. Okay, so there's some work to do here. Back in the checklist, you can select each issue, locate it by selecting the Locate button, and then use the Google Doc toolbar to see what the heading is for the text and make changes. This is marked as heading 2, and it should be a heading 1, as there usually should only be one heading 1 in a document. We can change the heading level of the word history then to heading 2. So the checklist continues checking tables, landmarks, and general contents. When you complete the checklist, the option to export your individual file to a PDF produces, believe it or not, a completely accessible PDF. So we highly recommend you install Grackle. And so we don't have enough time to complete this entire checklist, but there is a link to the Grackle Doc site under our resources for this conference. And the site includes documentation, videos, and contact info. Because our district uses Google products, they purchased the Grackle add-ons for this automatic install across all of our Google accounts, which was rather inexpensive. So that's it for Grackle, and next we're going to look at remediating a PDF.
When you're remediating PDFs, which we find to be more time-consuming than using any other of the accessibility checkers, you will need Adobe Acrobat Pro DC or an Acrobat Pro version Beyond Reader with the accessibility tool. Does this document look familiar? This is a very brief introduction on how to use the Adobe Accessibility Checker to begin remediating PDFs. So with your PDF open, on the menu bar, click Tools and the Accessibility icon. You can see then that the Accessibility pane opens up on the right. Click on the Full Check link, and when the Accessibility Options dialog box opens, accept the defaults and start checking. Then the Accessibility Checker pane will open on the left, and it provides a list of items that are not accessible called issues. Click through these to see what they are. And here it says the title failed. So you can right-click and choose Fix. Change the title and select OK. The next issue is called alternate text, where it shows one issue. As we click through, you can see that one issue is actually 3 images. So here you can right-click on Figure 1 and choose Fix. You will fill in your alternate text, and while you're here, you can add alt text to each image by clicking the arrows. When you're finished, click Save and Close. As you scroll all the way down in the issues list, you see the last issue is Headings Are Not Appropriately Nested. Click to expand the issue and click on Element 1, which we already know is labeled as Heading 2. And then click on Element 2, which is labeled as Heading 4. If you want to see the actual headings hierarchy of your document, click on the Reading Order tool in the right pane, and it will show you the structure of the page. In that tool, select the first heading on the page, which is labeled H2, which you know should be the document's heading 1. So in the Reading Order Touch-Up tool, choose heading 1. Notice that the word History, which was already labeled as heading 1, now needs to be changed to heading 2. Select it, and in the Reading Order box, select heading 2. The Adobe Acrobat Accessibility Toolset, as we mentioned in the beginning, is the most time-consuming tool to use for fixing accessibility. So we try to refrain from using PDFs in favor of Canvas pages, Google Docs, or even Word docs. We don't have time to show you how to fix all of these issues today, but on the Google Doc that we shared for you, there is a link to a pretty good video on how to make these repairs. Okay, our final tool is Ally.
Okay. So Ally is our Ally, which is owned by Blackboard, is an accessibility tool that was purchased for us by the Los Rios Community College District. So if you don't know about Ally, when you see what it can do for your students, even before you begin to remediate your files, you might be rallying to have your college or district purchase this tool for you. And no, we don't own stock in Ally, but so let's just begin to show you what it can do. So here we are on a Canvas page, and Ally displays these gauges that indicate the accessibility of images and documents, including Word, PowerPoint, and PDFs that are inaccessible in your Canvas course. The gauges work like a car gas tank. An empty tank is an inaccessible file. The gas tank on this image is almost empty. So let's click on the gauge. Ally opens the work environment and shows a numerical score for this image, 25%, but that was generous, and explains the accessibility issue. This image is missing a description. You can always click and get more information about a particular issue. And in this case, clicking in the box labeled "What this means" will describe the difficulties with having an image without alt text. You can also get reminders on how to write a good description. So let's add alt text here and then select Add. Notice the score improves greatly.
Wow.
The next item, okay, we'll go to the next item on the page. It has a bit more in the gas tank, but it still needs a fill up. So clicking this gauge reopens the Ally window and again provides some explanation. However, we cannot improve this file with Ally. Since it's a PDF, we would have to use the Acrobat Accessibility Checker again, oh no, or better yet, find the original Word file, and this is really better yet, and follow the suggestions for fixing the issues. Once that file is accessible, just use the Word file. But this is not the exciting part of Ally. Here's the big payoff. Without any instructor intervention, alternative formats for inaccessible files are immediately available for students. Look to the right of the inaccessible PDF at the down arrow right here. A simple click and students see that alternative formats are available. And for this file, students have the choice of downloading an HTML file, which can be more easily read by a screen reader and viewed in a browser and on mobile devices, an EPUB, which students can read from their smartphones, an electronic braille version, and a wonderful audio file. These formats support the spirit of universal design for learning and equity. Okay, so as you can see, we're back. So as you can see, each of these 4 tools can really help us when making content accessible in our Canvas courses, and they can help us work faster, they can help us organize our content when we create files, and therefore making learning so much more accessible. But none of these can do everything, and each of them does need our human touch.
Thank you for joining us. Please feel free to contact us after the conference is completed for more information. And let's see what questions we can answer for you now.
Oh, thank you, Leslie and Alice. That was great. We have some wonderful questions. A couple of questions about Grackle. So first of all, does Grackle need to be added or is it part of Canvas?
No, it's actually added to your Google Drive. So wherever you're working in Google, whether your drive is integrated into Canvas or not, you add it to your Google Drive.
Okay. And then does the free Grackle account have all of the features that you demonstrated?
It does.
And more.
Okay. And I don't know if you can answer this or not, but Nicholas asked, has the bug in Grackle related to links been fixed? I guess there was a problem previously with links that were created with descriptive text, as you recommend, were not being formatted correctly with Grackle. Do you know anything about that?
I
don't. We'll have to look into that.
All right. Well, another question that we have is from Aaron Richardson. When it comes to color and meaning, what would be the best way for instructors to emphasize information in a way that's universally accessible?
So if you're going to use color for meaning, which has to have good contrast, right? Also, you use bold or something that's going to indicate that, or use the words like important or please note, which I do that. I rarely use color for emphasis, but if you're going to highlight something in yellow because sighted people can see that, you're going to want to go ahead and say important, big bold letters right before it.
And when you're choosing a color to use, you can use the free download color contrast analyzer from the Paciello group in Australia. You can just add that to your browser and you can check your color that way.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
pretty cool.
Good. So when putting full text of URLs, for example, when you're doing proper APA style formatting, is that okay to do?
Well,
So if you have an assignment that's requiring a URL to be formatted a specific way, of course, that's going to be a different set of rules.
yeah, definitely when you're citing resources, when an instructor is putting in instructions that they have to cite the resource.
The important thing is to realize how someone using a screen reader would actually hear that information. And so that might affect how you explain it or introduce it.
Okay, all right, great. So a question, oh, the questions are coming in fast. So let me just go through real quick. Oh, Carolyn was asking, are you using an updated version of Canvas? Because in her rich text editor, she wasn't seeing the table header column row tool.
I think our district just, you know, just
It's the same
Yeah.
version that we,
Yeah,
no, we haven't
yeah.
updated it at all.
no, Canvas kind of updates things and then lets us know what they've done. And so,
That might be a question for Anna.
yeah, there
Anna's
you
there.
go.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, how about
Hey.
that? Oh, let me turn my camera back on. I turned it off while you were presenting.
Okay.
Sorry about that. So that's a good question. Canvas actually, because it's a cloud-based software, everyone's on the same version. So you should all have the same rich content editor. Eventually, we're going to add an option for the updated one, which will make it look a little bit more different, but that's just dependent on your institution settings. But as far as versions of Canvas, everyone's on the same one.
Yeah, and I did find that table fixer is fairly new. So try to just put in a table that hasn't been, and run your little checker that hasn't been made accessible, and see how it does.
Okay.
I love all the tools.
Yeah. There are a couple questions from people about recordings and links. And so I did just post again in the chat the link to the resource page at onlinenetworkofelducators.org for this particular session. And that's where they have put their resources. And then within 1 to 2 weeks, you will also see the recorded archive of this session. So that's where you can go. So check the chat for that link. Let's see.
Autumn, our contact information is there as well.
Yeah.
Correct? So really, anyone, feel free to contact us if you have a specific question that we haven't answered here.
This is a good question. Will a screen reader read an emoji?
Well, there's a couple things. If an emoji is an image, and you put alt text, it'll read it. But there's a way to put images into Canvas that aren't read, and that's some Canvas code that Anna probably knows about, that makes like a little list symbol. It's symbol code, and it does not read that.
So, and I think these questions have to do with what you were showing with Ally, with the alternative formats. So Sean Jordison from Santa Monica asked, if we have an inaccessible PDF, how will the alternate version be any better?
Oh.
And I think there's a related question. If a document's been created from Word, what do you do about PDFs that, you just find in the wild, like you find on a website that don't necessarily have that Word background? So
do you want to take the first one about
right, does the alternate format feature just download the content of the inaccessible file, or does it make it accessible?
So the alternate, are you referring to when we said
if there's
find the Word doc and then use that?
Yes.
Just if there's an accessible PDF and we put it up there and it's awful, how much improvement will there be with the HTML file?
Oh, the HTML file. We're talking about Ally now?
With Ally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ally tries to assign headings to those to the web content or the HTML, but it does make sure that there's a good reading order, because in HTML it reads from the beginning, top to bottom. So especially if there's a reading order issue, which Sean and I have discussed before. So.
Yeah. And then what to do about, the other question was what to do about a PDF that doesn't have an original Word file.
Right.
So a couple of things that you can do. You can use the Adobe Acrobat Accessibility Checker, but what I prefer to do is open it in Word and remediate it in Word. That's just me personally, and Leslie has gotten really good with the Acrobat Accessibility Checker. So I think I would open the file and with Word and see how it looks, and if that's easier. I'm all about finding something that's quick, fast, that does the trick. I don't want to spend my time doing this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But we always are asking faculty to look for alternative formats. If you've got two really horrible files that have been around for years and accessibility wasn't even an option, try to look for alternative formats online, or hard part would be like retyping, but I know we're probably talking about much larger documents.
Okay, all right. Let's see. This is a good question. I don't have access to a screen reader. How do I really know what it would sound like? And I think that's a curiosity that a lot of instructors have is, you know, what does my content, how does it come across to someone who's using a screen reader?
There are free screen readers.
NVDA?
NVDA. It's NVDA, non-visual anyway. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly what it stands for, but it's free to download and free to use, and it just is easy to use. So Google NVDA, or non-visual desktop application.
Maybe. I don't know.
I should know what it stands for, but you know, I recommend everybody do that. Then there's a screen reader that comes in with Chrome that you can add as an extension as well.
I downloaded NVDA on my computer, and it was really easy to download. It worked immediately, and it was kind of an eye-opener.
You have to learn how to turn it off because it really goes crazy.
Oh, and there's, Sean says, JAWS for all. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. JAWS for all. Good.
And this question is from Cheryl. Can students access Microsoft Word docs without problems? I thought should post them as PDFs.
So they can access them if they have the ability to, if they have Word on their computer, but Word files aren't automatically accessible. You still want to put in headings, you want to use, make sure you have alt text. All of those issues will pop up, and the thing about Microsoft Word is it has a great accessibility checker, as does PowerPoint and Excel. And we just didn't show it to you today, but it's similar. You go into tools, you can, depending on which version you have, options, issues, check for issues, and it will just give you the list of accessibility issues and talk you right through, or show you right through how to fix them.
And I know the thinking was always, we were encouraging people to use PDFs because everybody could get Adobe Reader. But now there's just about everybody can open docs. There's a lot of free software, LibreText, and the other one that preceded that. So students have access to software that will open those docs.
Okay. This question is from Nicholas. For images, is capitalization and punctuation important in the alt text descriptions?
No,
Okay.
no, it's not read at all.
In fact, you don't have to capitalize. You know, sometimes if I have a long list that needs commas, I put them in, but I found when I'm using a screen reader, it doesn't really pause. So it just kind of goes through it, and you do not need a period at the end or anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is from Angela. If Blackboard Ally,
yeah, sorry.
That's okay. If Blackboard Ally provides students with accessible versions of our files, why do we have to make them accessible if we're using that tool?
Okay, so what Blackboard Ally does is it provides alternate formats, but it only, remember the old saying, garbage in, garbage out. If you have an awful file, it will provide the alternate format, but it can't make it perfect. You still need to get in there and work on it, but it's certainly better than a scanned PDF. Okay. So it's a great way to start. And I will say, if you have a perfect written file, what Ally will do is it provides that wonderful audio file. It provides the eBraille, and it provides an EPUB. And so immediately those are alternate formats that will be preferred by some students and staff and faculty.
And a couple of questions about videos, if you have any suggestions. One person asked about resource suggestions for creating accessible videos. If I'm creating my own videos, like recordings of my lectures or video announcements, what are some resources I can turn to make those accessible?
The easiest one is YouTube. I mean, it really is. It provides the automatic captions, which you can then edit and label as the only captions. So I always download those if I haven't created a script, and just work on those, improve them, remove the automatic captions from your videos so students don't click on it by mistake, and just upload those corrected captions.
I also highly recommend 3C Media Solutions. You can create your account. I mean, they're made just for us, for California Community College staff and instructors. Upload your videos there. There's a checkbox saying you would like it captioned, and then through the DECT grant, Distance Education Captioning and Transcription Grant from College of the Canyons, you can get it captioned. And I recently had an instructor upload like 150 of his videos, a web instructor, and they captioned all of them within like a week.
Wow. They're very fast.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
So if they're your videos, that's a great way to go. And then also they have the embed code. They house them, and they have the embed code to put in your courses.
Right. So, and of course, Leslie gets her stuff done ahead of time. I'm doing mine last minute. That's why I mentioned YouTube.
Yeah. Well, right. Last minute YouTube is the best.
Yeah.
Well, for lots of things.
And a related question, when you're not the creator or originator of the video, is there any way to be able to type proper closed captions on YouTube videos when you're not the originator and the originator hasn't enabled community editing?
If they haven't enabled community editing, then there really are some things that you will need to go through. Of course, Amara is always out there.
Yes.
But you will, first step is always to contact the originator of the video. And I would say
we've done that
90% of the time we've had very positive responses.
Yeah.
That people love you. They're happy to have you caption the video. They'll either give you the link, or they'll send you, they'll put up another one that you can caption. The advantage to someone who's not you to getting their video captioned by us is that then a lot more people will use it. So,
and you can also utilize the
DECT grant.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The DEC grant. If you get permission, the DEC grant then will honor that. Yeah.
A similar question: what are the issues if the PDF isn't yours? But and this the question is really, I think, about copyright. If the PDF isn't yours, it's something you've downloaded from another site, and you convert it to a Word format in order to make it accessible, are there copyright issues with that?
Yeah, I think if it wasn't mine and I didn't have permission, I'd use the Adobe Accessibility Checker, or I'd give it to you to use the Adobe Accessibility Checker. Yeah.
Yeah.
For that reason.
Probably a safer bet.
Yeah.
Okay. And is the built-in tool the best tool to use to check PDFs?
The built-in tool for?
Yes, for Adobe Acrobat.
Yeah.
Is the built-in tool the best PDF checker? Will the PDF be accessible in non-Adobe readers?
No.
Non-Adobe reader?
How are you going to read a PDF without opening it in Adobe?
I'm not sure. I'm just reading.
Okay, so I'm thinking about that.
Yeah. So remember, one of the things that we used to talk about with PDFs is that Adobe Reader, Pack 3, that's true. Adobe Reader was free, and so, yeah.
Yeah, but Sean, thanks for jumping in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what about screen readers and math equations in Canva?
Oh my gosh.
How much time do you have, Adam?
Actually, 2 minutes.
Actually, Leslie did figure out a successful solution.
Well, right now, yeah, it's not always easy. Why
don't we have that person write to Leslie?
Yeah, it's kind of long. I have like 3 ways to remediate this.
But it's doable.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
you'd think it would be simpler, and I feel for math teachers putting equations up there in a document, it's difficult. Not all screen readers want to read math equations.
And I think there's a similar question from another participant about what to do with your handwritten math or chemistry drawings that you would normally post or upload to show students. So that's probably a similar question.
Yeah, and I like what Sean said, you know, attach a full description in an HTML file or, you know, Canvas page, but it has to be fully described.
And last question that we'll have time for today, is there a way to set the table caption and column or row headers to set those as you create the table in Canvas without waiting until you check the whole page?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, using the table tool in Canvas, if you scroll down to select the row, the cells that you want to make table headers, and then choose cells, and then you have a choice right there to choose what type of cells, and they can be header cells.
And actually, you know, as a convert, because I didn't always do everything the way I should have, once you learn how to do this, it's just kind of second nature. As I create tables now, I create them accessibly, and when I do headers, and I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I hope we didn't make it sound complicated. It's just a process.
Okay. Well, I know there were other questions in the chat and in the Q&A that we didn't have time to answer, but I hope you will feel free to reach out to Leslie and Alice. Their information is on the resource page, which I'll go ahead and post once more in the chat. And I just want to thank you, ladies. It was a wonderful presentation. Accessibility is such a big topic, and you've shown us so many different ways to you know, address it, things that the faculty can do and tools that are available to us, and we really, really appreciate it.
We just, it's not that difficult. You just have to learn it, right?
Yeah.
We're teachers.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for participating today.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoy the rest of Can Innovate 2019.
Yes, we will now.
Okay.
Bye.